You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Talking about how Vandy can prove it, right? They belong. We know in our heart of hearts they belong in this conference, despite what everybody's saying. But how do they prove it? They have to prove it. They don't have the track record. They don't have the benefit of the doubt that other teams have, that they can have a struggle year. Like Oklahoma can have a struggle year because they have a history of winning. Other teams can have struggle years because they have a history of winning, even a recent history of winning. Vanderbilt does not have that luxury. It's back to the cellar if you don't perform this year, right? Conventional wisdom says yes, but I'm in the camp, and this could be a hot take. I will err on the bold side. This is kind of a bold take because I think it is very much a realm of possibility, but they're just going to have to prove that they belong. And I think winning 6, 7, 8 games, somewhere in that ballpark, will prove it. 6 games will be like, okay, we barely believe you. 7 games will be like, okay. 8 plus, you'd be like, all right, Vanderbilt's for real, right? Vanderbilt's for real. So, and I think they can do that. I mean, you look at the schedule, you look at who they're playing, you look at the way the teams are constructed, like, I think there's a chance. And I'm not saying that Dumb and Dumber style where it's like all this 1 in a million talk, right? I think there's a legitimate chance. Here's how they do it. Defensively, overall, they need to figure out a way to consistently get off the field on third down, man, get takeaways, right? That was the biggest Achilles heel for this team, getting off the field on third down. They did well early. They won early. Teams weren't able to sustain long drives. Alabama was only in that game because they hit big plays. I don't think they really drove the ball without some massive chunk play, which I'm not saying that's like a lucky thing or a fluky thing, because Alabama's certainly talented enough to hit those chunk plays, right? What I'm saying is Vanderbilt was stingy enough against them that without those chunk plays, they weren't moving the ball that day. Vanderbilt had a good plan against them. Vanderbilt disrupted them. They put them on their heels. Vanderbilt, people don't realize it, but Vanderbilt's a physical team. They had a physical, tough identity last year, right? They just didn't have all the pieces. Their punch died out because their pieces, their punchers died out. They just weren't in shape as a team. That's going to change too, right? But find a way to get off the field on third down. I think Steve Gregory, that's his biggest challenge. I think he's got to find creative ways to put the right guys in the right places. I think mentally he's got to keep them on an even keel. A lot of like 15-yard unsportsmanlikes and things, stupid penalties that kept them on the field in certain situations, the miscommunications, all of that led to big touchdowns, things like that, just were backbreakers, just killers of the momentum of this defense. And then once that happens, teams are able to capitalize on that because Vanderbilt didn't have the depth to make up for those mistakes. And it got real ugly real quick. So that's got to change. You've got to get off the field. You have no choice. You've got to get off the field. So I think forcing turnovers, all that good stuff, I think that's going to be a big factor. So that's something that's definitely, if you're there, if you can get off the field on third down, it's the complementary football that I talk about. If you can get off the field on third down, you give Diego Pavia a chance. You give this offense a chance. That's how they beat Alabama. That's how they beat Auburn. That's how they beat Kentucky on the road, right? That's how they beat Virginia Tech. Their defense provided Diego Pavia in this offense chances to hold the ball. And the offense, for the most part, answered the bell. So that being said, I think there's a lot of things, with this team, like more so than a lot of other teams in the league, they have to play complementary football. Because if they don't, I think they can get themselves in a lot of trouble. I think if they don't play complementary football, I don't know that they're still equipped enough to be able to do that. Now, that takes me to my last point, the offseason training will be put to the test because I think it's more than just strength and conditioning, and the mental test of having a bullseye on you. That's kind of my fourth point. Like I think those two factors are going to loom large with this program. I think your offseason training is more than just lifting. It's more than just agility. It's more than just conditioning and speed work. All right, it's the mental fortitude. It's the competitive toughness. It's the grit. It's the transformation of your body and the changing of habits and the changing of lifestyle to be able to make all that happen, right? Because if you're a mediocre team and you're just kind of skirting by, which there's a lot of teams out there in college football that talk it, but they don't really walk it. If you're going to truly walk it, you have to commit to changing your lifestyle. You have to commit to doing things the right way, and you have to commit fully. And the great ones do, the mediocre ones do sometimes, and the bad ones, it's a toss-up whether or not they're going to do it on a day-to-day basis. Like, are they really truly going to buy in? Like, yeah, they're going to show up for workouts because they have to. They're going to do all the stuff, but are they truly making those decisions to change their lifestyle to be able to excel, right? We'll see if Vanderbilt did. Like, Vanderbilt's committed. At least they said they are. We're going to see how that comes out. But the early reports are just on the hoof, this team looks bigger, stronger, faster. I don't know about the injury prevention. I don't know how much of this is like somebody got dinged up, so we're just going to hold them out of practice as precautionary. Or if like this was a game week, they would actually play like that. That's a question I have for the injury report, and that's a question I'll probably never get answered. But that's one of those things where it's like, you see all the injuries rack up in training camp, and you're just wondering, okay, if this were the regular season, would they suit up or not? Martell Height's injury probably wouldn't. He's in protocol, but some of the other guys that it's kind of a load management or kind of just an excuse to really kind of rest some guys and get them ready for the regular season. So that much it's kind of hard. It's kind of deceiving with that, but we'll see like throughout the course of the season, how does your injuries hold up? How do your guys last? Do you have enough quality depth developmentally wise? So if somebody does get banged up or somebody does get tired, you can roll somebody else in and not get a drop off in production. That's going to be the true test of strength and conditioning. That's going to be the true test of development and things like that. And I think some of these holdouts are opportunities to get other guys some positive key reps. So that's going to be that. But the biggest, like, and even bigger than that though, right, is the mindset that you have to have. Because Vanderbilt's not been in this situation maybe ever. I don't, maybe since James Franklin, have they been in a situation, have they been in a position to where most of the teams on your schedule are actually looking at you? I have to really work hard and rack my brain to figure out the last time when that was. When teams weren't just like, oh, they got us this year. Okay, we'll be fine. Like, teams are legitimately, I guarantee Virginia, like, I know Virginia Tech, they've said it's a revenge game. They're usually in that, like, they don't give much lip service to that, right? Like, Alabama's certainly thinking about it. Because Ryan Williams would have blown that question off. He would have blown that comment off from John Gruden in the film room. He would have blown that off. He would have just dismissed it. He would just be like, yeah, okay, yeah, we got some for him. Just the standard, like, we got some for him. We'll see, and just move on. But he made a sledgehammer and an ant analogy, which I don't hate that. I think it's funny. I think it's great. I think it's great for competition. But the fact that he said that and he came up with that analogy or that visual or whatever you want to call it shows that he's at least a little bit worried. So how do they play with their bullseye? They have to be the aggressor. They have to be the attacker now. They have to come out swinging if they're going to prove that they belong. Because it ain't just little old Vanderbilt. They ain't going to sneak punch you. They ain't going to slip up on you. They ain't going to they're not going to sneak up. The opponent's squared up with you. and they're ready to land haymakers, you better be ready to eat those punches and throw it back. Land haymakers back. Knock them out. Put them on the canvas. You better be ready to do that. That's all I'm going to say. If they prove they belong, punch with the best of them. That'll show me. And I think they can. I know they're capable of it. Now just go and do it. I know it's easier said than done, but just do it. All right, talking about Monarch Money, don't you wish it was easier if all of your financial accounts were there? Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth. I certainly can. If you look at 401ks, properties, investments, and all that stuff, I can't do it. And when you don't have the full picture, you end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. It's so good. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel you're in control of your money without ever touching a single spreadsheet. So for those of you who aren't good at Excel, breathe a sigh of relief, right? So there's always that stuff that you're paying for that, I didn't know I was still paying for SiriusXM. I haven't listened to SiriusXM in 2 years, but I'm still paying for it. I didn't realize I was going out to eat that much. I didn't realize all those gas station trips for a Gatorade and a bag of chips were costing me this much. Well, here you go. It's going to categorize it all for you. You can see everything, right? So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Thanks for watching Locked On Vandy. Remember, you can follow the show at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. You can follow myself at Coach Burton36. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Find us anywhere you find your podcast as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Anchor down. Peace out.